Brought to you by Ayoko, Africa's leading integrated technology services company.
Welcome back. Now, reflecting on Karooooo's third quarter results, the group keeps hitting new records as far as Cartrack subscribers are concerned. And while the company has highlighted that it will explore new technologies to drive the growth momentum, ultimately the group's founder, Zach Callisto, prefers organic growth. This even as the markets the company operates in faces more consolidation. Business Day's Mudiwa Gavaza joins us now with his take on Karooooo's game plan. Good to have you with us once again, Mudiwa. We talk about organic growth. What does he mean by that? Because if you look at all his peers, they're going international, they're merging, they're doing all sorts of things, but he's going, hold on a second. What's he looking at?
So basically what he's talking about is the main business for Karooooo is obviously Cartrack. I think that's the brand that, most people know and interact with. If you have a device for your car, especially a tracking device, Cartrack is probably the biggest player in the local market alongside Netstar, Tracker, and all of those. So what he's saying is, instead of going and acquiring companies, which is what's happening with some of the other players internationally, let's go and we are literally putting down our own flags and we're building businesses from the ground up. And we've definitely been seeing that in Asia, where a big part of the company's growth has actually been coming from, number one, in countries in Southeast Asia and many parts of Southeast Asia already. And in almost all of those instances, they've literally opened a new office starting from scratch, as opposed to going and acquiring something.
You see, that's so interesting. And he's also got new things. He's got video and the Cartrack tag.
Yeah.
So he's looking at his existing customers and he's saying, but wait, there's more. I've got more stuff for you.
Definitely. And I think that organic strategy, you definitely see it, on the two products that you're talking about, because right now that's part of what's anchoring the growth strategy for the home market, right? About 75% of Cartrack's business is still anchored in South Africa, even though, Zach hopes that over time that's going to, be less and less, as more and more of the Southeast Asia countries come online and they grow in places like Europe, but especially in Southeast Asia. In fact, when it comes to this organic growth, he still believes that South Africa has a lot more growth to eke out. He believes that they can grow their current business by 4 times.
Wow. By 4 times, but surely the competition is quite steep here. I mean,
sorry, I need to correct myself. It should be doubling in the next 4 years.
Okay, the other way around, double in next 4.
Yes.
But surely, I mean, it's a very steep market here in South Africa. There are competitors.
Huge.
I know, they're all over my cell phone trying to get my business. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
So this is quite a bold move.
No, it is quite a bold move, and I'll be honest, because we had the discussion with him last week when they released their third quarter earnings, and I was actually surprised to hear that number, because he actually even made the comment to say 10 years ago, even then he was told that the market is saturated in South Africa, how much room is there? And 10 years later, they're still finding places to grow. So in his estimation, he at least thinks that they can double the size of their business in South Africa, despite the Nestars, the Trackers, what used to be, mixed telematics, which is now, Power Fleet, and, all of those, different players. Because as much as you talk about that competition set, there's also competition from the fact that a lot more cars these days, especially the more premium vehicles, already come with some type of a device in there, right? So what's your incentive to get an extra, cut? So there's huge competition, but he still says somehow we are going to grow.
But maybe he's looking at the influx of Chinese vehicles coming into the country. I mean, we have this massive flood at the moment. Your high-end cars, people are saying, it's fine, I'll go and pay less for that car over there because I get the same features. So car sales are up, so perhaps he's going, okay, I'll join in.
And I think that's what's interesting, because when he talks about growing the business, he's talking about it either in terms of increasing the number of customers that they have, or by growing the amount of revenue that's coming into the business. So yes, you've got this influx of imported vehicles that we're talking about. Interestingly, I just came from BMW right now, and a huge topic of discussion is, all of these Chinese imports that are coming in and the impact that they're having on the local market. The other thing to think about is fleets, right? Because that's a big part of Cartrack's business in South Africa. Is you are a logistics company, you are a rental company, and you buy all of these cars in bulk, and you go straight and you outfit them with one tracking device, or you have a standing contract with one of these customers, and you're just doing hundreds of cars at a time. So there are all of these little pockets, that they can take advantage of. Last one I'll just mention is the fact that South Africa does have a thriving second-hand market for vehicles.
Right.
And in many instances, when you buy a used vehicle, you have the option: keep the tracking device that was already there, or take it out and replace it with something that you want. So that's another opportunity for Cartrack today. Okay, let me get this customer.
But you also have to make it very attractive. You can track your car at any point. You've got to have the bells and whistles.
Yes.
I think he's looking at that.
Yeah, and when it comes to that, they've actually had some interesting, options. We spoke about some of the devices that they've brought to market, like what you're talking about. They also have partnerships with some of the, they call them the OEMs, basically the vehicle manufacturers, where they are the ones that would then supply, straight into those vehicles, as opposed to it being an aftermarket process. So they're definitely looking at it, on different levels. And then the last one is the fact that they consider themselves, as much as we talk about tracking devices, as a software platform. Right. How many pieces of information, to your point, can we feed our customers about their vehicle, where it is, what can we gather from the engines, from the car's computer, all of those things as insights that we can then feed to the customer as a value add.
And feed to the manufacturer as well, because they would also want to see what's going on with their vehicles.
Yeah.
Mergers and acquisitions. I mean, I looked at your article and I thought to myself, you did mention something about maybe merging at some point. Yes, keep it organic now. But if you see the international trends are something totally different.
One of the interesting things that Zach mentioned is that, and you almost see it with the way that he's gone out to the market, because he estimates that we're going to see a wave of consolidation, and you're going to be seeing the same brands operating around the world and having strong in-country presences. And that's basically what Cartrack has done. You've got the Cartrack brand in a number of countries in Africa, in places like Europe, in Southeast Asia, and in each country they're making sure they have that localized presence, and that they are number one, number two, whatever it is. So over time, he says, for now, organic, but at some point they may have to look at acquisitions. The likes of Powerfleet, we've already seen it affecting South Africa, because Mixed Telematics was acquired back in 2024. We've seen even our local banks, because Powerfleet is a US company, but our local banks, RMB, for example, actually giving a certain amount of money to Powerfleet to go on this conquest, to go and acquire companies. So there's a lot of opportunities in the space. One of the big competitors, or rather, for a comparable company to Cartrack, was a company called Verizon Connect.
Right.
Yeah, that's been acquired by Geotab. So we're seeing all of that. So he's like, I'm seeing what's happening on the playing field, but for now we think let's rather invest in our own growth and plant these flags of ours, one customer at a time.
But I suppose organic growth is the way to go. These are customers, repeat customers, because when you go and sell your car, you buy a car, and then you think, I'll go with Karooooo again, I'll go with Cartrack again, I'll go with them. So if you can keep that momentum going, and you can see with his figures, I was having a look at his results, latest results, he's really proving it. He's doing it.
And I think that's what's been interesting about following the Karooooo story. Quarter after quarter after quarter, we keep seeing this double-digit growth, and you're like, is it ever going to stop? It will stop at some point, and you can already see that they're thinking around that to say, okay, fine, the market will saturate at a certain point. We still think there's a long runway, but in preparation of that eventual future, we've already started layering in all of these other products, to your point, because it's about stickiness, right?
Yep.
No longer is it just about basic vehicle tracking and telematics. It's now, can I give you a dash cam? Can I, help you with, all of these dashboards? What insights can I, give you
Yeah.
about your fleet?
So we have to, this is where it is. This is where it stops for us, but
Yeah.
for him, it just continues. Mudiwa, thank you so much. That was Business Day's Mudiwa Gavaza.
Brought to you by Ayoko, Africa's leading integrated technology services company.